My name is Daniel Hartley, and I'm about to tell you how I destroyed 2 lives with nothing but superglue, social media, and a healthy dose of righteous fury. But let me start at the beginning, back when I still believed my wife Vanessa actually loved me. It was a Tuesday evening in October when everything started unraveling. I was sitting in our cramped living room in Bellevue, debugging code for the 3rd straight hour, when Vanessa walked in with that particular smile she reserved for asking favors. "Danny, honey," she said, perching on the arm of my chair. "Liam's coming over for dinner tomorrow. You don't mind, right?" Liam Porter, my so-called best friend since college. The guy who sold overpriced houses to desperate families and somehow made it look noble. The guy who'd been just dropping by our house with suspicious frequency lately. "Sure," I said, not looking up from my laptop. "I'll pick up some steaks." "Actually," Vanessa said, twirling a strand of her blonde hair, "maybe you could work late tomorrow." Liam's going through a rough patch with his divorce, and I thought some girl talk might help. Girl talk. With Liam. Right. "Since when does Liam need girl talk?" I asked. "Oh, you know what I mean," she laughed, that tinkling sound that used to make my heart skip. Now it just made my stomach churn. Sometimes men need a woman's perspective on relationships. I saved my work and closed the laptop. "What kind of perspective are we talking about exactly?" Her smile faltered for just a second. "Don't be weird about this, Danny. He's your friend too." "My friend who's been texting you at midnight for the past month? He's going through a divorce. He needs support. And you're providing that support by having private dinners while I'm conveniently out of the house?" Vanessa stood up, crossing her arms. "I can't believe you're being so paranoid. Liam and I are just friends." "God, Danny, sometimes I think you don't trust anyone." That was her favorite move, turning my legitimate concerns into character flaws. Classic Vanessa. "Fine," I said. "I'll work late." She kissed my forehead, and I caught a whiff of cologne that definitely wasn't mine. "Thanks, honey." "You're the best." After she went upstairs, I sat there staring at the blank TV screen, my mind racing. Trust is supposed to be the foundation of marriage, but ours felt like it was built on Jenga blocks. One wrong move, and everything would come crashing down. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through Vanessa's Instagram. There was Liam in half her recent posts, at the gym, at lunch, at some wine bar downtown. Always the same caption. "Great friends make everything better." Great friends. Sure. The next evening, I made a show of leaving for work, complete with my laptop bag and a dramatic sigh about overtime. But instead of driving to the office, I parked 3 blocks away and walked back through Mrs. Klein's backyard. Our nosy neighbor was probably watching from her kitchen window, but she'd never rat me out. She lived for this kind of drama. I slipped in through the back door and crept upstairs to our bedroom. From the window, I had a perfect view of the living room below. At exactly 7:30, Liam's red Mustang pulled into our driveway. He knocked once, a casual tap, like he owned the place. Vanessa answered wearing the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the one she claimed was too fancy for anywhere we ever go. They hugged at the door, not a friend hug. A lingering, hands-wandering, face-buried-in hair hug. I pulled out my phone and started recording. They moved to the couch with wine glasses, sitting closer than necessary. Liam's hand rested on Vanessa's thigh while she laughed at something he said. When she got up to refill their glasses, he openly checked out her ass. My wife. My best friend. I watched them for 2 hours, documenting every touch, every intimate glance, every moment that confirmed what I'd suspected for weeks. They were careful, no kissing, nothing overtly sexual, but the chemistry was undeniable. Around 10 o'clock, they moved toward the stairs. I quickly retreated to the guest room and waited. Sure enough, I heard footsteps in the hallway, whispered conversations, the creak of bed springs. Our bed springs. I could have confronted them right then. Kicked down the door, screamed, thrown punches, done all the things a betrayed husband is supposed to do. But I'm not that guy. I'm the IT support guy who fixes problems methodically, step by step, and I just identified a problem that needed fixing. The next morning, Vanessa was practically glowing at breakfast. She hummed while making coffee and actually kissed me goodbye, something she hadn't done in months. "How was girls' night?" I asked innocently. "Oh, just talked about life stuff. Liam's really struggling with the divorce. I think our conversation helped." I'm sure it did. At work, I couldn't concentrate on anything except planning my next move. My coworker Mike Chen noticed my distraction during our lunch break. "You look like someone pissed in your coffee," Mike said, unwrapping his sandwich. "What's going on?" Mike was the only person at Dataflow Solutions who actually got my sense of humor. While everyone else treated me like the stereotypical IT nerd, Mike appreciated my sarcasm and had my back during office politics. Hypothetically, I said, if you suspected your wife was cheating, what would you do? Mike nearly choked on his sandwich. Hypothetically? I'd get proof first. Then I'd make sure everyone knew what a lying piece of shit she was. Hypothetically, what if the guy she was cheating with was supposed to be your best friend? Then I'd make sure everyone knew what a lying piece of shit he was too. Danny, please tell me this isn't actually about Vanessa. I pulled out my phone and showed him the video from last night. Mike watched in silence, his expression growing darker by the second. Jesus Christ, Danny. How long has this been going on? I'm not sure. Maybe a month, maybe longer. What are you going to do? I thought about it for a moment. Something creative. That evening, I stopped by the drugstore on my way home. I needed supplies for what I had in mind. Nothing illegal, nothing that would get me arrested, just a little creative problem solving. I found Vanessa in the bathroom, applying her expensive face cream. The same cream she'd been using for 3 years, part of her elaborate nightly routine. Hey babe, I said, leaning against the door frame. I'm thinking of working from home tomorrow. Maybe we could spend some time together. She paused mid-application. Oh, that sounds nice, but I already made plans with Tara. We're going shopping. Tara was her friend from HR, a gossip-loving drama queen who knew everyone's business. If Vanessa was lying about shopping with Tara, it would be easy enough to verify. Cool, I said. Have fun. After she went to bed, I carefully removed her face cream from the bathroom cabinet and took it to the kitchen. With surgical precision, I unscrewed the top and scooped out about half the cream. Then I replaced it with something that looked identical but had very different properties. Superglue, the kind that bonds skin instantly and requires medical intervention to remove. I mixed it carefully with the remaining face cream until the consistency was perfect, then screwed the top back on and returned it to its exact position in the bathroom. The next morning, I called in sick and waited. Vanessa left at 10, claiming she was meeting Tara at the mall. I immediately texted Tara. Hey, is Vanessa with you? She left her phone at home and I need to reach her. Tara's response came within minutes. No, I'm at work. We don't have plans today. Is everything okay? Perfect. I spent the morning setting up cameras around the house. Nothing fancy, just my old smartphones positioned strategically to capture the living room and front door. If Vanessa was bringing Liam over while I was supposedly at work, I wanted documentation. At 11:30, Liam's Mustang pulled into the driveway. They came through the front door laughing about something, Liam's hand already on Vanessa's lower back. They moved straight to the couch, and within minutes they were making out like teenagers. I watched from the upstairs window as they pawed at each other, my wife moaning as Liam's hands roamed over her body. They were so caught up in their passion that they didn't notice the cameras recording everything. After about an hour of heavy petting, they headed upstairs. I retreated to the guest room and listened to them in my bedroom, in my bed, doing things Vanessa hadn't wanted to do with me in months. When they finished, I heard them talking quietly. Danny's so clueless, Vanessa said. He actually thinks I believe his story about working late all the time. Maybe we should tell him, Liam said. This sneaking around is getting old. Not yet. I want to make sure we're solid first. Besides, I need to figure out the financial stuff. Danny makes good money, and I'm not walking away from that without a plan. My blood turned to ice. She wasn't just cheating, she was strategizing, using me as a financial safety net while she figured out her next move. What about the house? Liam asked. It's in both our names, so I'll get half. Plus alimony, probably. Danny's too nice to fight it. Too nice. Right. They stayed for another hour, and I documented everything. When they finally left, I had enough evidence to destroy both their reputations and their futures. But I wasn't ready to play that card yet. That evening, Vanessa came home with shopping bags from stores she'd never actually visited, spinning elaborate stories about her day with Tara. She was a better actress than I'd given her credit for. How was work? She asked, unpacking clothes she'd probably bought as props. Boring. Same old code, same old bugs. She nodded absently, then headed upstairs for her nightly routine. I followed a few minutes later, positioning myself in the hallway where I could see into the bathroom. Vanessa squeezed a generous amount of her face cream onto her palm and began applying it to her cheeks and forehead. For a moment, nothing happened. Then she tried to move her hands. They wouldn't budge. What the hell? She muttered, tugging at her fingers. They were stuck fast to her face, the superglue already hardening. Danny? She called, panic creeping into her voice. Danny, something's wrong. I rushed into the bathroom, putting on my best concerned husband act. What happened? My hands are stuck to my face. The cream. Something's wrong with the cream. I examined the situation, fighting to keep the satisfaction out of my voice. We need to call 911. Don't try to pull. You'll tear your skin. While we waited for the paramedics, Vanessa sat on the bathroom floor, tears streaming around her glued fingers. How did this happen? How is this possible? I don't know, I said, pulling out my phone to document the scene. Maybe the cream went bad, or got contaminated somehow. The paramedics arrived within 20 minutes, followed closely by Mrs. Klein, who'd obviously been watching from her window. She pushed her way into our house like she belonged there. "Oh my goodness, Vanessa," she exclaimed. "What on earth happened?" "Some kind of accident with her face cream," I explained, still filming. "They're going to have to use a solvent to separate her hands from her face." Mrs. Klein's eyes lit up with gossip-fueled excitement. "Face cream? How does face cream do that?" The lead paramedic, a middle-aged woman with tired eyes, examined Vanessa's predicament. "This looks like superglue," she said. "We're going to need to transport her to the hospital. The removal process is going to take some time." As they loaded Vanessa into the ambulance, I called Liam to update him on the situation. "Jesus, that's terrible," he said, but I could hear something else in his voice. "Relief? Is she going to be okay?" "They think so. It's just going to take a while to get her hands free. I'm following the ambulance to the hospital now. I'll meet you there." "That's really not necessary, Liam. I know you're busy." "She's my friend too, Danny." "I want to be there? Your friend. Sure." At the hospital, it took 3 hours and 2 different solvents to free Vanessa's hands from her face. Her skin was red and irritated, but not permanently damaged. Throughout the process, Liam paced the waiting room like an expectant father, checking his phone constantly and asking for updates. When Vanessa finally emerged with bandaged palms and a puffy face, Liam rushed to hug her. I watched them carefully. The way he held her, the relief in his eyes, the intimate way she leaned into him. "I'm so glad you're okay," he whispered, loud enough for me to hear. "It was so scary," she whispered back. "I thought I was going to be disfigured." I cleared my throat. "The doctor said you should be fine in a few days. Just keep the bandages dry and use the antibiotic ointment." Liam finally seemed to remember I existed. "Any idea how this happened?" "The doctor thinks the cream got contaminated somehow. Maybe a manufacturing defect, or someone tampered with it at the store. They're going to test what's left in the jar." That got both their attention. If investigators tested the cream, they'd find evidence of deliberation tampering. I could see the wheels turning in their heads. "You know what?" I continued. "I'm going to throw out all the cosmetics in the house just to be safe. Can't be too careful." Vanessa nodded eagerly. "Nah, that's probably smart." On the drive home, she was unusually quiet. Finally, she spoke up. "Danny, I've been thinking. Maybe we should take a break from having people over for a while. You know, until we figure out what happened." "You mean Liam?" "I mean everyone. I just want to feel safe in our own house again." I reached over and squeezed her uninjured shoulder. "Whatever makes you feel better, babe." But I knew this was just the beginning. Vanessa and Liam thought they were being careful, but they had no idea what I was capable of. They'd underestimated the quiet IT guy, and that was going to be their biggest mistake, because I wasn't done, not even close. 2 weeks later, Vanessa's hands had healed completely, but she was still paranoid about her cosmetics. She'd thrown out hundreds of dollars worth of products and started buying everything from different stores, checking expiration dates obsessively. The forced separation from Liam was driving her crazy. She was irritable, distracted, constantly checking her phone. They were texting constantly, but I'd installed monitoring software on our home Wi-Fi that captured everything. Their messages were getting increasingly desperate. "Liam, I miss you so much. This is killing me. Vanessa, I know. Danny's being so clingy lately. I can barely get 5 minutes alone. Liam, maybe we should just tell him. End this charade." "Vanessa, not yet. I need more time to plan. The house, the finances, everything has to be perfect. Perfect. She wanted perfect? I'd give her perfect." The opportunity came on a Friday evening. Vanessa announced she was going to book club at her friend Sarah's house. Another lie I could easily verify. Sarah worked at the same company as Mike, and according to him, Sarah was visiting her mother in Portland that weekend. "Have fun with your book," I said, kissing Vanessa goodbye. "What are you reading again?" It's a romance novel. You wouldn't be interested." "Try me." She paused, clearly scrambling. "It's called Love in the Time of Secrets." Sounds fascinating. After she left, I waited exactly 30 minutes before driving to Liam's house. His Mustang was in the driveway next to Vanessa's Honda. I parked across the street and called Mike. I need a favor, I said. Can you meet me at Liam's house? And bring your camera. What are you planning, Danny? Just trust me, and maybe bring a few other people. This is going to be good. Mike arrived 20 minutes later with 3 coworkers from Dataflow, Jennifer, Tom, and Steve. They were all curious about my mysterious request, but I'd promised them entertainment. Okay, I said, gathering them on the sidewalk. My wife is in that house right now, cheating on me with my supposed best friend. I have video evidence, text messages, the whole thing, but I want witnesses for what happens next. Jennifer gasped. Danny, are you sure about this? Positive. I've been documenting their affair for weeks. I showed them some of the videos on my phone. Their expressions ranged from shock to disgust to anticipation. So what's the plan? Tom asked. We're going to knock on the door and see what happens. I led the group up Liam's front walkway, my heart pounding with adrenaline. This was it, the moment of truth. No more sneaking around, no more pretending to be the clueless husband. I rang the doorbell and waited. Footsteps approached from inside, and I heard Liam's voice. Who is it? It's Danny. Open up. A long pause. Whispered conversation from inside. More footsteps. The door opened, and Liam appeared wearing a bathrobe, his hair disheveled. Danny, what are you doing here? Looking for my wife. Have you seen her? Your wife? No, man. I haven't seen Vanessa all week. Why would she be here? I smiled. Because her car is in your driveway. Liam's face went pale. He glanced over his shoulder, then back at me. I can explain. I'm sure you can. Where is she? Danny, listen. This isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you're fucking my wife in your house while she lies to me about book club. Mike stepped up beside me. Just tell him the truth, Liam. We all know what's going on. At that moment, Vanessa appeared behind Liam wearing one of his shirts and nothing else. Her face went through several emotions in rapid succession: surprise, fear, anger, and finally defiance. Fine, she said, pushing past Liam. You want the truth, Danny? Here it is. I'm in love with Liam. I have been for months. Our marriage is over. When did it start? I asked, surprisingly calm. Does it matter? Humor me. She glanced at Liam, who nodded encouragingly. 3 months ago, at Tom's birthday party. You were being your usual antisocial self, hiding in the corner with your phone. Liam actually paid attention to me. And you decided to start fucking him instead of talking to me about our problems. Don't make this about communication, Danny. We both know this marriage has been dead for years. Jennifer stepped forward. So you thought cheating was the solution? Instead of getting divorced like an adult? Vanessa rounded on her. This is none of your business. Actually, I said, I made it their business. See, I've been documenting your affair for weeks. Videos, photos, text messages, financial records, everything. Liam's face went white. You've been spying on us? I've been gathering evidence. There's a difference. I pulled out my phone and showed them the video from our house. Vanessa and Liam on our couch, hands all over each other. This was taken 2 weeks ago, while Vanessa was supposedly shopping with Tara. Want to see more? You sick bastard, Vanessa snarled. You recorded us without consent. In my own house? That's perfectly legal. Just like recording this conversation right now. Mike held up his phone, which had been filming since we arrived. Smile. You're on camera. The reality of their situation was finally sinking in. Liam ran his hands through his hair, pacing back and forth on his front porch. What do you want, Danny? He asked finally. I want you to admit what you've done. Both of you. On camera. Tell the truth for once in your pathetic lives. And if we don't? I smiled. Then I post everything online. Your real estate clients might be interested to know what kind of man they're dealing with. And Vanessa's HR department definitely needs to see the videos of her lying about sick days to fuck around. Vanessa's job was her pride and joy. She'd worked her way up from receptionist to HR manager over 8 years, and her reputation was everything to her. You wouldn't, she said, but her voice shook. Try me. Liam put his arm around Vanessa's shoulders. Okay, fine. Yes, we're having an affair. Yes, we've been lying to you. Are you happy now? Getting there. Now I want you to apologize. For what? For betraying me. For lying to me. For making me feel crazy when I suspected something was wrong. For using my house as your personal love nest. Take your pick. They looked at each other, having some kind of silent conversation. Finally, Vanessa spoke up. I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry for cheating and lying. But I'm not sorry for finding someone who actually makes me happy. And I'm sorry for going behind your back, Liam added. but I'm not sorry for falling in love with her. It wasn't the groveling apology I'd hoped for, but it was an admission of guilt on camera. That would have to be enough. All right then, I said. I want you both out of my house by Sunday. Vanessa, take whatever you can fit in your car. Everything else stays. That's not how divorce works, Danny, Vanessa said. I'm entitled to half of everything. You're entitled to whatever my lawyer says you're entitled to, and considering I have evidence of adultery, that might not be as much as you think. I turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at them. Oh, and Liam? That super glue incident with Vanessa's face cream? That was me. Just wanted you to know what happens when people underestimate the quiet IT guy. Their shocked expressions were worth all the planning and patience I'd invested in this moment. As my group walked back to our cars, I could hear them arguing on the porch, their voices getting louder and more desperate, but I wasn't done with them yet. Not by a long shot. The next morning, I woke up alone in my house for the first time in 5 years. Vanessa had packed her essentials and left during the night, probably too embarrassed to face me again. She'd left her wedding ring on the kitchen counter with a note. I'll send someone for the rest of my things. I made coffee and sat at my laptop, uploading all the evidence I'd gathered to a secure cloud storage account. Videos, photos, text messages, financial records showing Vanessa's suspicious spending. Everything was organized and documented like a legal brief. Then I started making phone calls. First, I called Vanessa's boss at Dataflow Solutions. Hi, this is Daniel Hartley. I need to report some concerning behavior by one of your HR managers, Vanessa Hartley. She's been falsifying sick leave requests to conduct personal business, and I have documentation. Mr. Hartley, are you sure about this? These are serious accusations. I'm very sure. I'm emailing you video evidence right now. Next, I called the real estate agency where Liam worked. I'd like to file a complaint about one of your agents, Liam Porter. I have evidence that he's been engaging in unethical behavior that reflects poorly on your company. What kind of behavior, sir? The kind that involves sleeping with married clients and using confidential information for personal gain. I'm sending documentation to your ethics board. By noon, I'd contacted everyone who needed to know. Their employers, their professional associations, their social circles. I posted carefully edited versions of their confession video on social media, making sure to tag mutual friends and colleagues. The responses came quickly. Shocked comments, private messages asking for details, phone calls from people who'd suspected something was going on. The story spread through our social network like wildfire. Mike called around 2 o'clock. Danny, you magnificent bastard. Liam's real estate license is under review, and Vanessa's been suspended pending investigation. How does it feel? Like justice, I said. But I'm not finished yet. That evening, I drove to the bar where our old college friends hung out on Saturday nights. Sure enough, Liam was there, drowning his sorrows and telling anyone who'd listen that I was a vindictive psychopath who'd ruined his life over a misunderstanding. I walked up to his table, where he was holding court with 3 guys I'd known for years. Hey, Liam, I said. Mind if I join you? He looked up with bloodshot eyes. What the hell do you want now, Danny? Just wanted to make sure you're telling the story correctly. You know how much you hate it when people lie. I'm not lying about anything. Really? Because I heard you telling Brad here that Vanessa and I were already separated when you started your relationship. Brad looked uncomfortable. Maybe I should go. No, stay, I said. This concerns all of you. See, Liam's been spreading some misinformation about recent events, and I thought you should hear the truth. I pulled out my phone and played the confession video from his front porch. The audio was crystal clear, both of them admitting to the affair, the lies, the betrayal. That's the real story, I said, not whatever bullshit he's been feeding you. Liam lunged at me across the table, but I was ready for it. I sidestepped his clumsy attack, and he crashed into an empty chair, spilling beer everywhere. Easy there, champ, I said. Assault charges won't help your situation. The bartender, a huge guy named Rick, appeared at our table. Is there a problem here? No problem, I said. Liam was just leaving. Weren't you, Liam? He struggled to his feet, his face red with rage and alcohol. This isn't over, Danny. Actually, it is. You lost. Accept it and move on. He stumbled toward the exit, and I turned back to my former friends. Their expressions ranged from shocked to disgusted. Jesus, Danny, Brad said. How long was this going on? At least 3 months that I know of, probably longer. And they were using your house? My house, my bed, my trust. They thought I was too stupid to figure it out. We talked for another hour, and by the end of it, I could see their opinion of Liam and Vanessa had completely shifted. These were people who'd known us all for years, and they were genuinely appalled by the betrayal. When I got home, There were 17 missed calls from Vanessa and a string of increasingly frantic text messages. "Danny, please call me. We need to talk. This has gone too far. You're destroying our lives. I know you're hurt, but this is insane. Please, I'm begging you. Make it stop." I called her back. "Danny, thank God," she said, her voice thick with tears. "Please, you have to take down those videos. I'm going to lose my job. Liam already lost his real estate license." "Good," I said. "Actions have consequences. But this is our whole lives, our careers, our reputations, everything. You should have thought about that before you decided to cheat on me. I know I hurt you, but this is too much. This is cruel. You want to know what's cruel, Vanessa? Cruel is finding out your wife has been fucking your best friend in your own bed. Cruel is being called paranoid and crazy when you suspect something's wrong. Cruel is discovering that the person you trusted most in the world has been planning to divorce you while using you as financial security." She was quiet for a long moment. "How did you know about that?" "I know everything, Vanessa. Every text message, every plan, every lie you told. I've been 3 steps ahead of you since this started. What do you want from me? I want you to disappear, find a new job, a new city, a new life. Take Liam with you. Just get out of my world and never come back. And if we do that, you'll leave us alone?" I thought about it. The revenge had been satisfying, but it was also exhausting. I was ready to move on with my life. If you disappear quietly, I won't post any more evidence. But if you try to come back, if you try to cause problems for me, if you so much as drive through this neighborhood, I'll release everything. The unedited videos, the financial records, the text messages planning to take half my assets. All of it. "You're not the man I married," she whispered. "No," I agreed. "I'm better. The man you married was naive enough to trust you. This version of me knows better." I hung up and blocked her number. 3 weeks later, Mike told me that Liam had moved to Phoenix and was trying to rebuild his real estate career under a different company. Vanessa had taken a job with a small firm in Denver, a significant step down from her previous position. I never saw either of them again. 6 months after that, I met Jennifer at a coffee shop near my office. She was recently divorced herself, and we bonded over our shared experience of betrayal and recovery. She was smart, funny, and most importantly, honest. We've been together for 2 years now, and I've never been happier. Sometimes she asks about my first marriage, and I tell her the truth, that I learned the importance of trust, communication, and never underestimating the quiet guy in the corner. Because when you push someone too far, when you underestimate their intelligence and their capacity for revenge, you might find out that the person you thought was weak is actually the most dangerous person you know. Vanessa and Liam learned that lesson the hard way, and I made sure they'll never forget it.